Has your child ever studied a particular topic, you know, and he understand everything? You understand that topic. Now you gave him tests to test, his understanding, and he passed. You gave him more tests too to test, he passed it. Now 1 week later, you gave him that same maths topic. You gave him questions under that topic. He started looking as if he has never seen this type of question before. At this point, you explain it to him again. He understand. If you even go, go to the length of hiring teacher, let's say teacher for him. He explained it to him too. Again, he understand everything. You gave him test, he passed it. Do you get? And let's say 1 week, another 1 week again. After 1 week again, you gave him that particular, topic under you gave him test under that topic again, and he started looking as if as if he doesn't understand. You understand? He started looking as if he has never seen that topic before. As a parent, what is that thing that comes to your mind at that particular point? What is that thing that will come to your mind at that, at that instant? I am sure what will come to your mind at that particular point is, maybe my child is not serious. Maybe my child is too playful. Maybe he didn't even revise enough. Or maybe maths is not even his thing. But wait, let me tell you something. What if the real problem is not even the lesson for today? What if the real problem is not even the current topic? What if the real problem started like 2, 3, or 5 years ago? Think about that. In this video, I want to show you something many parents don't realize. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Uncle Adeni, your favorite, maths educational coach. Now, this is a channel where I train children how to become better, in mathematics, and I also, guide parents on how to boost their child confidence in mathematics. All right, let's dive into the video. In maths, children don't struggle with the current topic. What you don't realize is that children are not actually struggling with the current topic. You know where the issue is actually coming from? It's coming from the foundational topic, behind it. The foundational topic under it. That is where the struggle is coming from. It's just like, relating to like a building now, that has a faulty foundation. No matter how beautiful, the building is, if it has a faulty foundation, if there's a crack in the foundation, it will actually affect, the framework of the building. It will affect the whole building because of the faulty foundation. So that is it. That's the way it is with mathematics. So your child is having a faulty foundation. Now let me show you something. This is one of the mistakes parents make. They treat, every math topic as a separate subject. Instead of, thinking like this, every math topic is built, on the previous topic. Math is like a building block. Do you get it? Math is like a building block. So every math topic is always built on a previous topic. Don't treat it like a separate topic. Let me show you what I'm telling you about. Now, let's say the teacher writes 3x plus 5 equals to 20. And your child could not solve it. Don't think your child is struggling with algebra. No, I have told you, check what are the foundational topics behind that algebra. The reality is that your child might actually be struggling with divisions. Your child might actually be struggling with, subtraction. That's it. Those are the foundational topics. So that is where the issue is actually coming from. Or let's say, your child does not really understand fraction, for example now. Now, it's not that your child does not really understand fraction. Your child does not really understand the foundational topics under fraction. And fraction depends, it depends heavily upon, multiplication and division. So if your child does not really understand multiplication and division, you think your child does not really understand fraction. No, it is because he does not understand multiplication and division, and those are where the issue is, they are coming from. That's the faulty foundation, not the current topic. Imagine trying to learn driving, without knowing how to how to steer the wheels. You understand? You know it to be very difficult. Same thing with mathematics. That is how many children, you know, they struggle in mathematics because they are actually focused on the current topic, whereas the foundational topics, are, they don't really understand it, so it will really affect them. Now let me show you, the foundational topics, the foundational gaps that I have seen as a tutor that actually affect older students. Let me show you now. Number one is times table. Times table. A child who struggles with simple multiplication will definitely find it difficult to tackle fractions, topics like fractions, percentage, ratios. You understand? That child will find it difficult to tackle those topics because he or she does not understand multiplication. Number two is place value. Place value. Some children also don't really understand, how to, what digit stand for. Like for example, if you ask them what is the difference between, why is 500 different from 50? They cannot understand it. Why is 500 different from 50? So you can see that this will create more problem for students who don't really understand place value. Number three is basic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Students are actually fond of quickly going to use calculator whenever they give them this type of question. But if you ask them to solve it in their head using their brain alone, they won't get it. So when they are struggling with, this type of, calculations, it will really affect them. Why will you be using calculator? What class are you that you are using calculator? You understand? Why can't you use your brain? Like you are in secondary school. You are in secondary school. Junior secondary school. And you want to use calculator. Haha. You need to start using your brain. Start using your brain. Another one is fraction. Your child does not really understand fraction. And fraction is everywhere in mathematics. It's in ratios, it's in percentage, it's in algebra. So if your child does not really understand fraction, then it's going to create a lot of issue. Number five is math confidence. This one really surprises parents a lot. The knowledge gap is small. Your child's knowledge gap is small. And whereas the foundation gap is very huge. Now, your child will not really understand. Even before your child starts to attempt the question, you already knows that in his head he will not get this question because he knew that he has actually failed the question so many times. So there is no way he or she will get the question. So we have this mindset that he cannot solve it. You understand? So that's what we call mass confidence. When the confidence is missing, you understand? Or when there is a gap, as in more gap in the confidence level, it will really affect that child. Do you get it? Now, I know the question that will be in your mind as a parent is, how can I strengthen, how can I identify those weak foundation in my child's learning? Okay, I will show you. Now, first is, stop focusing on the current topic. If your child is having issue with the current topic, don't go and start buying more workbook on that current topic. If your child is having issue with fraction, for example, don't think you need to go and start buying more fraction worksheets so that your child will understand fraction. I have told you, stop that. Instead, ask, what are those foundational topics that algebra depends on? What are those foundational topics that algebra depends on? So you go and check back, check those foundational topics. The second step is you check backward. This is where you start asking questions, foundational questions. Can my child divide? Can my child multiply correctly? Can my child divide correctly? Can my child even compare fractions? Do you understand? So when you are checking, this is what will actually reveal the hidden gap. This is where you will know where your child is getting the issue from. The third step is, after you have identified those hidden gap in the foundational topic, you understand? What you do now is you will begin to revise it then. You begin to revise those foundational topic, consistently. Do like 10 to 15 minutes every day. Revise them with the child. Revise them with the child. Maths is like a fitness. You don't exercise once and say you are fit. You do it what? Consistently. You do it consistently. That is how maths is. Finally, as a parent, don't wait until exam time to discover the learning gap of your child. No, at that point, you are just wasting your time. It's only little you can actually do. If not, you won't be able to even do anything. So the earlier you identify the learning gaps, the easier for you to actually fix it. Do you get it? So don't wait until exam time. So, as a parent, when your child is having any issue concerning any topics, don't focus on that correct topics. Check the foundational topics beneath it and look for how you can actually, sort out those foundational topics. That is actually your child. That is how your child will learn, and that is how your child will grow. Now, if this video has really helped you, kindly like, subscribe, comment, and also share it with other parents as well, so that they can also, benefit from this video. Now, if you are concerned about your child's math foundational problem, leave a comment in the comment section with your child's year group, and I will also show you the right direction. Thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.